So Pejman, today you've been on the Midas list for 4 years running, and most recently this year is the top #1 in the VC seed funds. And you have raised a fund with over $432 million, which at the seed stage is absolutely incredible. And the companies that you've invested in are worth over $100 billion. But we have this picture of you in San Francisco, and at the beginning of your career. Tell us, what was your journey?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you everyone for being here. I have so much respect for what we're doing. Before we start, I want to tell you the story. I actually wore a T-shirt under this, and as soon as I was leaving home, my wife said, you told me that is elevated dress code, business casual. And I said, yes. She says, why do you have T-shirt? I said, well, I just saw Payam and Guya posted on Instagram a photo that are underway here, and he had T-shirt. He said, most probably he had a suit with him. So I changed until I arrived, and I saw that he tricked me. But the reason I bring this one is, it's actually a reason. 20 years ago was not imaginable that a master of ceremony and creator of a ceremony come on stage with the sweater and with jeans and white shoes. But I think we all learn to break the rules for better causes. And I think hence the topic of this summit, it's building businesses but combine social causes. So just please give a big round of applause to her and Puya to bring this thing together. Thank you so much, Pamja. This picture is actually 1992. I was homeless in Silicon Valley. I came 7 months before that from Iran straight to America, and I had no plan. I came with, I didn't speak one word English. I had $700 cash. And that was not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge was I actually was in love with a girl back home in Iran, and I thought I'm going to lose her. So I said I have to call her every day, otherwise she forgets about me. So this is 1992. There was no there was no internet phone. There was no Skype. Obviously, there was no WhatsApp. So many of you remember I had a bag of quarter every day going to payphone. So every day I went, and I think at that time calling Iran was like $3, $4 a minute. So the money was gone. I had to do something. I found actually an Iranian car dealer because I didn't speak English, so I said, okay, I have to find something Iranian to negotiate. So I bought a 1973 Chevy for 5 payments of $150. And I drove 2 hours, hour and a half every day, and I washed cars for 12 hours every day. So my first job in America was washing cars and surviving. But I rest assure you, I was the best car washer the world has ever seen. I wash cars like nobody else. My English improved, and I landed a job at a yogurt shop in Redwood City. But you know, I became homeless. I slept on the street. I slept in my car, and I begged the owner of the yogurt shop to let me sleep in the attic above the yogurt shop. And this is that picture he took from me one day, literally an attic. This was an attic above a yogurt shop. There was no window, no oxygen. There's a knife next to me because it was a very dangerous part of the city. And I had sometimes throughout the night, walk out, take an oxygen, come back. And then one night, police caught me. He thought I'm breaking in, and I explained this is my home, and we became friends. He was coming every Friday to get a yogurt from me. But one thing magical happened. So I was waking up every morning, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m., running the yogurt shop, go to college, take a shower. I had no shower here, and come back, but something magical happened. As I was studying it, I saw the advertising of a Persian rug store in downtown Palo Alto. I called, and I get that job right on University Avenue, and I became a really good rug salesman. I remember a few years down the road, I sold, actually this is me selling Persian rugs. I sold $2 million worth of rugs in 1 year, which is, most of our companies will die before they get to $2 million ARR. So, but this happens when 95% of transaction Persian rugs happens in people's home. like Payam and Guya comes and say, we bought a home in San Francisco, Pejman, we are looking for a rug for my dining room. And then we look at rugs together. Ultimately, we take the rugs to people's home. And transaction happens in people's home, but obviously when you go to people's home and showing rugs, you can't just stand for 2 hours, don't say anything, so you start conversation with your customers. 6, 7 years into selling rugs, I realized every customer I have, they're top tier venture capitalists, they are founders of Yahoo and Microsoft and Google, and I was really in awe of what they do. Obviously, they were very wealthy. That was one reason. But I always thought that businesses start, you build this and you sell it, or you build this. I never knew that you can create so much value, create jobs, and create wealth based on knowledge, which is technology. And I felt I'm so lucky to have this access to these people. So I decided to learn the business. I wasn't afraid to jump in the ocean. I asked a lot of questions. Then I convinced the owner of the rug shop to partner with me to invest in startups because I didn't have money. So this is late 90s when it wasn't really fashionable to be angel investor. So we started to do angel investing in the rug gallery, and we made terrible investment. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. So we were investing in the companies that were dying 3 months down the road. So, but I kept going. I learned the business day by day, and I ended up being the first investor in Dropbox, Lending Club, Gusto, some massive companies. And I made money. I started to do angel investing on my own. Then that led to starting Pear VC, which I pause here. So this is a business that typically you go to Stanford and Harvard. You either go to GSP like her, or you study computer science at MIT and you go to business school. I'm a boy from Iran. I came with nothing, but I had this desire, that this belief that if you put your heart and soul in anything, you can learn and excel at it.
Amazing. What an incredible story. Could you share some of the key values from your early life that kind of helped to shape your journey as a venture capitalist?
What encouraged me to do investment was my relationship with the tech community. And I think I have a desire to genuinely to get to know people and build relationships. So I invested a lot in my relationship with the tech community. These are founders or venture capitalists. And I really believe if you invest in your relationship, opportunity comes to you. So for me was getting to know people. I think I always have this belief to give before you get. And many of the programs we do at Pear VC, it's free for entrepreneurs. We actually have, I'll talk about it. I created a community for Persian founders that every year, twice a year, we interview over 2,000 Iranian heritage founders who want to start company for 12 weeks. We mentor them, we match them, we put speaker series, workshops. I think 2 of them are here. You can raise your hand, actually 3 of them. So I think this is going back to my background as an Iranian. I think we come with the culture of giving, generosity, and I think that helps me really think about the future of venture and how we can help entrepreneurs through building relationship and building community.
Amazing, thank you. And throughout your journey, I'm sure there have been moments where you faced doubts and barriers. How did you overcome them, and how did you have the courage and confidence to overcome those barriers?
I was 10 years old in Iran when revolution happened, and 2 years after the war happened with Iraq. So my teenager life was like going to school, come home, do homework, go play soccer, and until it gets dark, and waiting for Iraqi jets or bomb or their missiles hit Tehran. Although Tehran wasn't in the front row of war, but we were bombed almost every night. So I think that gave me a perspective down the road to look back and realize what I have here is such an amazing opportunity. And I never think when things doesn't work, it's a failure. It's just an experience. You can always learn from it. So it's a combination of my history in Iran back and this insane desire to build something really extraordinary out of yourself.
So on the note of learning from mistakes, one of the investments that didn't invest in was Facebook. Can you tell us a bit about that story and what happened there, and what's the story behind this email we're seeing on the slide?
Yeah, it's funny. If you look at the Sean Parker and Mark Zuckerberg, the company still was thefacebook.com. This is before the movie was made that you said, they said drop the. I got a call from Sean Parker, who was the president of Facebook, one day that they wanted to rent the office that my partners at Medallion Rug owned it. And I met Sean Parker, and I was in awe what they are building. And I said, we give you this space. I'm not in real estate, but that was part of our kind of the strategy, give that space in exchange we invest in your company. And he said, Pejman, you can't because the round is closed. I said goodbye. 2 days after, he said, we figure out that you guys can put $50,000. I don't think you can see in this email, it's actually $49,998.06. So it's the exact dollar and with the wires. What you don't see here, there was attachment to a lease that Facebook had the opportunity to lease this space for 5 years and then extend that for 5 years. And then the real estate office didn't agree to extend it for another 5 years. So we didn't do it. So this was at $500 million valuation. Today, Facebook is 1.7 trillion. So you can do the calculation.
Wow, wow. But
I think you always learn from your mistakes. I learned to overanalyze, don't overanalyze situation. If you see an amazing founder go, the biggest mistake wasn't the real estate office. The biggest mistake was me, because when Sean Parker just explained Facebook to me, I have never seen an entrepreneur to show me future the way he did it. It was just unbelievable. It wasn't about liking your friends. It was exactly what they built today, like connecting people around the world. I took that idea and explained it to my partners. I should have taken Sean Parker to explain it. So I think the mistake was me. And I think being self-aware of your mistakes is important. I can really blame for last 20 years our real estate office, and I never learned from it. But if you really think through it, I think the biggest mistake was me. But this was a 10,000 returns. Even if it, let's say 70% dilution, this is $50 million today.
Wow. Well, and on the note of learning from mistakes, and there's a powerful insight, there have been some incredible successes in your career, and one of those is Dropbox. So tell us a bit more about how you met the founders of Dropbox and how you think about sourcing more generally.
Yeah, it's funny. This is Arash Ferdowsi, and this is Dropbox office and apartment. And the person you see, it's Sir Michael Moritz. He's one of the best venture capitalists of all time. At that time, he was on the board of Google and Yahoo. I met Arash at YC Demo Day, and I knew he's Iranian. I walked to him, and I said, Arash, what kind of Persian food he likes? And he couldn't speak Farsi really well. He said, Ghorme sabzi, like the way you like. You only speak. I asked you what word you know. He said, Ghorme sabzi.
The best.
So it's instantly, I made this bond through our culture, which is typically is hard. But we started to talk about it. I really like what he was doing. I invited his friend, his co-founder, and Arash to my office, which was the Rug Gallery. And then I knew we should invest, so I brought Sequoia Capital. This is Saturday morning. By Tuesday night, we agreed on $1.2 million investment in Dropbox. That majority of the money came from Sequoia, and we invested in that. So, and I think the next slide is very telling. Like 11 years after, this is Dropbox IPO, and you can see I'm more excited than even the founders that this is a this is a $10 billion company. That's Arash also. My wife is saying it's such an embarrassing photo of you. But listen, I actually think, I asked Jenna to put these slides because of potentials. Companies start at previous slide, not here. Everything is built. There's a day zero of anything you do in life. Dropbox or any company like it, Uber and DoorDash and Google of the world, you might see this picture, you don't see the other picture. So, and the power of dream, and if you put extreme effort and you're insanely focused on solving a real problem, good things will happen.
Amazing. So tell us about Pear VC today. Well, yeah, big round of applause. So you've shared a little bit, but what are
Yeah.
you building that's different?
Correct. So I started to do angel investing on my own professionally. Around 2009, I realized companies raise their pre-seed round, let's say 500,000, million, or $2 million. And I was a small angel investor, but the founders don't get the help that typically venture capital is supposed to do. And I felt there is an opportunity to build an institution to serve founders at the idea stage. So you have an idea, you raise capital, what happens then? I knew there's an opportunity to do that, but I felt that my skill set were not enough to claim I'm your best partner because I actually never worked for a tech company. So I reached out to my partner, Mara Hershenson. She's actually from Spain. I invested in her company in 2003. And I said, I either do it with Mara, is the woman next to me in blue. I either do it with Mara or I don't do it. So for 4 years, she said no until I tricked her and I changed the strategy. I said, okay, that's okay. You don't want to start a venture capital firm. Why don't you come to Coupa Cafe? It's a very famous cafe in downtown Palo Alto. Most of our entrepreneurs are there. And I said, why don't you come over there? You're an entrepreneur. I'm meeting entrepreneurs every day. Just provide feedback. So she came 30 minutes and then 45 minutes, and she was hooked. So I won. So we started Pear at Coupa Cafe, and we want to build the best seed firm ever existed by helping founders build massive companies and create jobs, change societies for better, and I can talk about it. You're yin and yang. I'm a college dropout. She's a Stanford PhD. I think she has 14, 15 patents. I have 0 patents. She started 3 companies and sold all 3 of them successfully. As I mentioned, I actually never worked for a tech company. But we built this firm today. We're 11 years old. Our last fund is the biggest pre-seed seed fund in the world at $432 million. And then, we invested in the companies. 4 of them are public. Many of them are growing. But Pear is a platform for entrepreneurs that we invest very early, but we help you build the foundation of a long-lasting company. And I can talk about it more.
That's amazing. All great things start at Coupa. And can you share an example of a company within your portfolio that is both doing very well financially, but also doing well for the world?
Well, maybe I should start with Pear. I think Payam said something that stayed with me. He said the capitalism creates innovation, creates jobs, but we owe it to our children and our future. And Dr. Lincoln said something like, build responsible companies for the future. I don't think they mean just quit your job and create nonprofit organization. What they're meaning is you can bring social causes to anything you do. So what do? Pear, we raise capital from our limited partners. We invest in companies, and our job is maximizing return for our limited partners. But you can be very conscious about where you put the money, how do you invest the money, and what kind of a companies you buy. First of all, Mara and I, we decided to raise money mostly from nonprofit organization. So 85% of the money that we raised into Pear from nonprofit organization. There are children hospital, firefighters endowments. We have raised money from the endowment in Hawaii that send underserved children to school. We have raised money from foundation which make home for homeless people, Cancer Research Institute, and we take a lot of pride on that. I'll give you an example. One of the companies that we invested very early, we were the first investors, is DoorDash. So we invested in actually 2 GSP students and 2 computer science undergrad from Stanford. Today is a $65 billion company. The endowment I mentioned in Hawaii that has actually started by the Queen of Hawaii 100 years ago, their only job is sending underserved children to school. As a result of our distribution of DoorDash shares to them, they sent 4,500 kids to school and preserved 23,000 acres of land in Hawaii. So you can do venture capital investment, maximizing return with social good and social causes. I wake up every morning, think about firefighters, people who fight fire for us and give their money to me, so I have the responsibility to invest in this. But giving back to what you said, we invest in many different companies. One of them is actually around 9 years ago, 2 Stanford sophomore students came to us, and they came with a small balloon. And they said, we built a balloon that it only cost $300, and we want to launch into the around the planet Earth, and we want to become the operating system for Earth. I didn't understand what they're saying, so we started to get to know them. Today, they actually build the most sophisticated weather prediction in the world, 10,000 times faster and better than anything else exists, using these balloons and using artificial intelligence. So this is actually a power of technology. What they do, they allow farmers to know more about anything's coming, the weather. They allow the government to be more available and more prepared for any disaster is happening. There are a variety of different things. Even if you think about DoorDash, how many restaurants now through pandemic or after pandemic just generate more revenue, and how many people got a job through DoorDash?
Incredibly inspiring work. So when we look at the asset management industry, $82 trillion, less than 2% is invested into women and people of color run companies and funds. And I know a lot of your work is around supporting women and immigrant founders. How do we address this huge challenge in the industry?
Well, I actually think by taking actions. I think you can write, you can blog, but if you are able to take action, you should take actions. One of the programs, by the way, 50% of my partners at Pear are women. That's a very rare in the venture capital industry. 42% of our entire portfolio has at least one female founder. That's actually is very rare. Thank you. We have created a few programs. One, we called Female Engineer Circle, and this comes from the conversation I had with my partner, Mar, who's actually, she was an engineer at Stanford. So every year, twice a year, we select top 40 to 50 female engineers in the country who are leaving academia or big tech companies and they want to start a company, but typically they don't have an idea. They know which sector they want to start, like in healthcare or space or fintech. We review applications. Once we choose these 40 or 50 female engineers, we give them space at our office for free. We match them with mentor. We meet them every Tuesday night. We put workshops, speakers, and as once start the company, we invest in their company. And this program is free. I actually think even our investors thought we were crazy. We spent so much of our resources into this. But since we started this is a 7th cohort. 38 companies came out of it, and we are investing in 12 of them. So it's a pretty incredible program. I mentioned that we did this for Persian founder, so we have the same program for Persian founder. But we started another program. Every year we select 30 students across the country, and we teach them become venture capitalists for free. We actually pay them. 42 of them have become venture capitalists also, including your friends from GSP. So I mentioned that I believe in give before you get. Many of these people come back to us, we either invest in them or they become venture capitalists, our network expand. So you mentioned how do we solve it by taking actions. I understand that many people don't have the resources I have, but you can take small steps and preventing or encouraging people, especially underserved founders or underserved entrepreneurs, to encourage them to start companies and being entrepreneurs. I remember when I was making a decision that should I quit and be a full-time investor or not. I had this fear of failure. And I have a friend, Bobby Yazdani, that Pejman knows. He was an amazing founder, took a company public. I actually met him at Coupa Cafe. You said everything happens at Coupa Cafe. He said something I actually never forget. He said, "You're an entrepreneur, Pejman. I think you're your own brand." I couldn't sleep that night. That for the first time, somebody told me you're an entrepreneur. And I think all of us need that moment that somebody believes in us. So if you have an opportunity to tell somebody, to encourage somebody to do something right, do it.
On this point around the fear of failure, what are the things or mechanisms that you use to, in those harder moments, to kind of remind yourself that you are an entrepreneur, you are an investor, there is a sense of possibility? What does that look like for you?
I always think you don't die because of it, so there's always an opportunity. I'm extremely hopeful about the future. So even if things go wrong, I think you can fix it. And this insane belief that there's nothing you cannot overcome.
That's amazing. So when we think about the trends around in the startup field around particularly women and immigrant founders, what are you seeing of the trends that are out there, and how are you continuing to position Pear within the broader industry?
Well, we are a generalist firm. We invest in all kind of technology, from biotech to consumer to space. But female entrepreneurs, underserved entrepreneurs, they're as smart, as driven than any other entrepreneur we see. We started a female AI circle that is only AI-driven female founders, and it's pretty incredible. The quality of them is just it's very high. So I actually believe we don't separate our founders. I really believe that people have potential, and they cover across all the sectors. So much potential.
Can you tell us more about how these circles work and like the support system that the entrepreneurs have for one another and what that looks like in practice?
Yes. So once we select the 4D Persian founder or female engineer, they get to know each other. That's a very powerful. So we build communities. On top of everything we do, it's community. They share their background. They share their stories. It's not everything about tech and building companies. A lot of them is just getting to know each other. We have a variety of different workshops, like how do you hire your first engineer? How do you size a market? How do you pitch to investors? And then we bring a coach, actually train them to how to be a good speaker. So for 12 weeks, continuously we're doing it. But I have to tell you that I actually think the biggest value of we create is the community that are part of it.
In terms of within your portfolio, and here's just a sample of some of the companies in your portfolio. I know that healthcare is one of the areas that you've done some incredible work in. Can you share a bit about some of the work in the healthcare space that you've engaged in?
Yeah, Viz.ai is actually a British doctor who actually came to GSP. Do you know him?
Yeah, he's great.
This is before we knew, obviously it existed, but before artificial intelligence was a buzzword, and he wanted to use artificial intelligence for radiology, especially for brain diseases. And now they are forefront of the technology in the world that if you take an MRI of the brain, they go look at billions MRI taken before and using artificial intelligence to match with previous anything close to it and allow doctors to prescribe the right medicine. It's just pretty mind-boggling they have been doing it. Recora is actually another company that they built a platform for anybody who has a heart surgery for the follow-up, but they digitize the entire platform post-heart surgery. There's so many different examples of that. Guardant is a biotech company, is actually an Iranian entrepreneurs who came from Iran to Stanford, and another entrepreneurs from Egypt. They made a simple blood test that determined that people have cancer or not. They own 80% of the market. So it's, I wake up every morning, I'm just in awe of what these people are doing, and that's why drive me. One of the advantages of being venture capitalist, you learn about so many industry in 30 minutes that you have to go to the library or read so many books. Entrepreneurs summarize it in 30 minutes, and you learn so much about it.
That's great. There's so many gems of wisdom in what you've shared. We have a number of budding entrepreneurs in the audience. What advice would you give to the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I always tell entrepreneurs, do it for the right reason. I think when typically entrepreneurs doing it for become wealthy, I rest assure them they never become wealthy. So I think the best entrepreneurs in the history, they try to solve a real problem in the big market, and they have a deep domain expertise about that particular market. So we like those entrepreneurs a lot. And I actually encourage entrepreneurs to grow as their company grow. You can learn a lot. You saw Dropbox CEO, Arash wasn't the CEO, he was the chief technology officer. The CEO is the guy by the name of Drew Houston. And when he started Dropbox, he was actually a hacker. And I remember we took a bunch of students to meet Drew 2 years before they went public. And one of the students asked, Drew, you were a hacker. How did you become a leader of soon to be a public company at $10 billion managing 2,000 people? And he said, listen, I actually never managed anybody in my life when I started Dropbox, and I was a terrible CEO, but I decided I can learn. So I started to read books and read anything was around me, and I trained myself. Fast forward today, he's not only running a $10 billion company, he's on the board of Meta with Mark Zuckerberg. So think about it, like a hacker becomes a CEO of a $10 billion company and being board of Meta. By the way, if you search Drew Houston book recommendation, he recommended 23 books that every entrepreneur should read, and just go through those lists and pick few of them and read them.
Amazing. So you've done such incredible work so far. As you think about the next sort of 5 years, like what does success look like to you? Like what are some of your goals?
We want to continue to be the #1 seed firm in the world by helping entrepreneurs build massive, big companies and change society for good.
Amazing. And how do you think about the broader ecosystem? I think so much of the work that you do, and maybe you could share a bit about the office that you just opened here in San Francisco, is around supporting the broader entrepreneurial and VC ecosystem. How do you think about that?
Yeah, we just opened the biggest AI studio in the world. It's a 30,000 square feet office here in San Francisco. Around 130 founders are working on a variety of different ideas. 80 to 90 of them are a portfolio, but around 30, 40 of them, it's free access to our resources, free access to our team. They get space and they get office, and they can go raise money from our competition. We don't care. But building community is very important. So building a community that people can grow and learn is very important. I think we all human live together. We grew together. We learn from each other. That's no different when you're an entrepreneur. So we try to build a platform and a community that a lot of entrepreneurs can come and learn and grow.
Amazing. Any final words of wisdom for our group today?
Bob, you didn't ask one question that is a very important question. I wait for that, see if anybody else asks it. Yeah, that was a question. We actually celebrated our 31st anniversary, so.
Woo!
Think of sharing what you know.